Hey, it's Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Welcome to the Black Belt Leadership Podcast, where each week I'm giving you tips, tools, insights, and resources to help you become a better version of who you are and what you do as you discover, develop, and deploy your own Black Belt leader within. Hey, this week I want to share some thoughts about how you and I may choose to live our lives. Two different options based upon a comment that was made during a conversation at the airport. I want to talk about living a no expectations, no regret life. And what do I mean by that? What I'm talking about is going through life and living every day, but not really living life. Now, as a speaker, as a coach, as a trainer, I spend a lot of time flying to and from workshops and conferences and events. So that means whether I like it or not, I get to spend a lot of time in airports. And I can promise you, I've spent more than my fair share of sitting and waiting for a plane due to a delay. Now, there are certain airports that serve as hubs for major airlines. So, depending on which direction I'm traveling and which airline I'm flying, I may often find myself making a connection at one of these large, centrally located hubs. Now, Charlotte Douglas International Airport, located in Charlotte, North Carolina, also known as CLT, that's one of those connecting hubs. Now, CLT also serves as one of American Airlines' major hubs, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the busiest in the country. It's part of the American Airlines core, what they refer to as a hub to spoke network. And this hub kind of serves as I would call it a major connecting point for airlines that are flying to the US, to the Caribbean, and to Europe. So CLT by volume is considered one of the highest volume connecting hubs in the United States. It often ranks near the top of daily departures for American Airlines. If you've ever been there, there's a lot of people in CLT all the time. Now, my recent trip there, I did a little asking around, and here's what I learned. The CLT terminal is 2.2 million square feet in size. Think about that. 2.2 million square feet. It consists of 5 connecting concourses, A through E. Now, the design of the airport, even though it is massive, it's big enough to handle much of the traffic that flows through it. But what I like about the Charlotte airport, it's small enough that passengers can walk everywhere. They don't need a train. They don't need a shuttle. They don't need to be dragged to and fro. They can get there with their own 2 feet. Now, I can tell you from experience, it's a 20 to 30-minute walk from E terminal to A terminal. I find that often because when I often fly in out of Little Rock, Arkansas, I end up coming into E, and I often find myself connecting out of A or B. So that could be a challenge if you got a short layover. Ask me, I know, been there, done that. But if you're not in a hurry, CLT is known for a couple of things. It's amazing rocking chairs when you can actually get one, and they've got a really, really good food court. Well, I was recently departing CLT after speaking at a conference, and I struck up a conversation with an older woman while we were waiting in line getting ready to board the plane. She was smiling, she was happy, she was engaging with every single person around her, so it made it very easy for me to start a conversation. But when I asked her how her day was going, her response to me was unexpected. Here's what she said. I asked her, I said, "So how's your day?" Her response, "No expectations, no regrets. This is how I live each day." Now, I thought about what she said as I was walking on the plane. No expectations, no regrets. As I flew home to Little Rock, her words continued to echo in my mind. How in the world can you live a life with no expectations? Now, according to the dictionary, an expectation is a strong belief that something is going to happen or something's going to be the case in the future. Another definition is it is a belief that you or someone else will achieve something or should achieve something in the future. So I got this brilliant idea. Let's ask AI how one can live a life with no expectations. And I found AI's response interesting. AI replied that it's possible to live a no expectation life by number 1, embracing the present moment, and number 2, accepting situations as they unfold. But that requires that you let go of control and you focus only on your actions. It requires, according to AI, releasing any attachment to specific outcomes. Now, when you think about that, that's only possible if you have no goals, no dreams, or no ambitions. Now, let me note right off the top that there's nothing wrong with embracing the present moment. After all, the present is the only time there is. You can accept what you can't control. That's part of building resilience. Embracing the present moment and accepting what you can't control are important elements of what we've talked about here on the podcast, and that's resiliency. But resiliency also requires that you control the things that you can control. And controlling what you can control, guess what? That requires expectation that you have the capacity and the ability to control certain things in your life. Well, I got a little more curious, so I then asked AI, why is having expectations so important in life? And I loved AI's response. Matter of fact, let me share with you a quote from AI. Having expectations is important because they act as catalysts for motivation, for goal setting, and for personal growth. Having expectations allows individuals to envision a better future and actually work toward it. Expectations provide direction in life. They shape relationships by establishing mutual respect. And expectations can create positive feedback loops where higher expectations lead to higher performance. Now, I love that explanation from AI, and I'm probably going to use that again in the future. But what does it mean? At the end of the day, it means this. Living a life with no expectations really means that you set no goals. You pursue no dreams, you pursue no ambitions, and you reject personal growth. You ultimately end up going through life directionless. Nothing that's motivating you to excel or succeed. This is your life every day. So in essence, you're going to end up going through life, as I said earlier, without ever really living life. And rather than strive to achieve or excel or succeed, what do? You simply allow life to dictate what's going to happen to you. Now, to me, that's a fatalistic approach to living life because it puts life in control of your outcomes. No expectations, no regrets. So how can you live a life with no regrets? By definition, a regret means to be sad or repentant or disappointed over something that's happened or something that's been done, especially a loss or a missed opportunity. So living a life with no disappointments or no regrets, again, according to AI, requires that you go through life denying past mistakes. Get that? Denying past mistakes, stifling self-reflection, and ignoring valuable feedback that's necessary for personal improvement. How in the world are you going to grow if you deny past mistakes, you stop reflecting on what's happened, and you ignore valuable feedback that can only make you better? To me, that's only possible if you never attempt anything. So I then asked AI another question. Why is experiencing regret important to life? Well, I loved again AI's response. It said AI is a crucial functional emotion. It acts as a powerful teacher to personal growth rather than just a source of pain. I love that. A teacher, not just a source of pain. When we analyze past actions, when we regret things that happen, it fosters better decision making. It increases empathy. It motivates corrective actions. And when we properly manage regret, regret can transform a mistake that we've made into future wisdom. And it encourages us to take and make much more fulfilling life choices. Now, regret is one of those emotions that you often experience after you go through failure. Maybe you're disappointed in a decision you made or a decision that was left unmade. And maybe whatever you chose to do or not do didn't result in a positive outcome. Now you have regret. But regret rightly used allows you to learn, to grow, to improve, and to become a better version of yourself. So a life without regrets is a life without a journey. Did you get that? A life without a regret is a life without a journey. If you never try it, you're never going to fail. If you never fail, you're never going to regret. But if you're never disappointed and you never make a mistake, you're never going to learn. Now think about it. If you miss your exit while driving down the interstate, you regret it. If your flight's delayed due to weather, and I've had that happen many times, and you miss a connection to an important destination, guess what? You're going to be disappointed. If you lose your lottery ticket and that lottery ticket had the winning numbers to $1 million jackpot, I promise you're going to regret it. And if you weren't paying attention to the speed limit and you got pulled over by a policeman and you got a speeding ticket, don't tell me you don't regret not paying attention to that speedometer. So I'm not sure how you or I can go through life with no expectations or no regrets. You know, once a baby is formed in a mother's womb, that mother is expectant. And as a result of that expectancy, she's looking forward to something in the future with anticipation. And once that baby's born, the parents remain expectant for many, many months to come. They're expecting the first words, the first steps, the first day of school, lots of firsts with a newborn. And life is very similar. It's a series of expectant moments when you and I were waiting for something to happen, or we're waiting for someone to do something. Now, we experience expectancy our entire lives, and it started when we were young. As infants, we can't wait to learn to sit up, to crawl, to stand, to walk, to talk, to learn to ride a tricycle. As children, we can't wait to go on a hike in the neighborhood, to learn to ride a bike, to learn to swim, to play sports, to take dance classes, to try out for the cheer team, to make the honor roll. All those things we look forward to with anticipation. Those early formative years of your life and my life were one expectant moment after another. So why then do we as adults, why in the world do we stop expecting? Well, I think science has the answer. Children have high levels of optimism. Children believe anything is possible. And as a result of that, they dream big dreams. Now, children also possess a positivity bias. They believe that they can do or achieve anything and everything that they put their hands to do. But sadly, as you and I get older, that positive, that abundance mindset that was prevalent when we were young, all of a sudden gets replaced with a limiting scarcity mindset. We have a few bumps along the way, we make a few failures, and all of a sudden we stop believing that anything and everything is possible. And then we start to rationalize our limiting beliefs, and we ultimately end up choosing to settle for a life of less. So why do we do that? Well, as I've thought about that question, to me, perhaps you're disappointed and you don't want to be disappointed again. Maybe you've experienced regret and you don't want to have to face failure again. Maybe you set some lofty goals in the past, but you failed to implement a plan to achieve them, and those goals never came into physical representation in the earth. Or maybe, just maybe, you started listening to that nagging little voice that all the time is speaking between our ears, speaking negativity, telling us what we can't do. And we choose not only to listen to that voice, but we choose to believe it. And when we believe that voice saying that we can't, we simply quit trying to succeed. So whether it's a combination of life experiences that didn't turn out well, or maybe we don't want to go through the pain of personal growth, or we don't want to be disappointed again, we choose to give up on our dreams. And I'm here to tell you this. If you have no expectations, you're going to believe that you're going to experience no regret. But I'm also here to tell you that's not always the case. And to borrow a phrase from Inigo Montoya, get used to disappointment. Why? Because life happens whether we like it or not. And life involves uncontrollable events. It involves human limitations. It involves unpredictable outcomes that are going to often take you and I by surprise. So is it any wonder that we need to understand that life is part of the human existence. Failure is part of the human existence. Regrets are part of the human existence. Many of the setbacks that you and I experience in life are nothing more, and you've heard me say it before, setups in disguise. Those things are there to teach us a valuable lesson so we can apply what we've learned the next time we try, and in doing so, we have a better chance at succeeding. But when you live a life with no expectations and you don't want to experience regret, you're training your mind to stop, get this, training your mind to stop seeing and seizing the opportunities that show up, often unannounced. And those opportunities show up every single day of your life. In essence, you're training your heart to stop dreaming, and you're training your mind to stop imagining what's next or what's possible. And rather than push forward to what's next, you end up choosing to say, oh, well, that's life. Well, if you ask me, that is a dull, uneventful life. And it's not the life that I want to live, and I don't believe you want to live that life either. But rather than living life with a hope that tomorrow could be better, that you could be a better version of yourself tomorrow, and finding every opportunity to invite abundance into your life, you choose instead to simply accept what happens as inevitable, even if you could have taken steps to prevent it. I mean, think about it. You're going through life with no hopes, no dreams, no aspirations, no vision, no goal, and no purpose. I don't believe this is the life that you and I were meant to live. So what if instead we chose to live a different life? What if instead we chose to live an anticipation-filled life? What if every single day you woke up expecting something good, something positive, something insightful, something enlightening, transformative, miraculous, eventful, amazing, or extraordinary to happen to you or to happen to others because of you? What if you chose to live a life full of hope, full of dreams, full of aspirations, full of vision, full of goals, and full of purpose? Which of these two is the better life? No expectations, no regrets, or living a life of daily anticipation of what if or what's next? To me, it's the latter, not the former. One, the prior, sets you up for more of the same. No expectations, no regrets. That is a dull, boring existence. And it's what you're already living. But living an anticipation-filled life sets you up for endless possibilities and countless opportunities. So living an anticipation-filled life means that you and I, we approach each day with a sense of joyful expectations. We approach the day with active hope. We approach the day with a purpose-filled mindset that is actively looking towards the future with eagerness while enjoying the present moment. Now you got to remember, anticipation is not passive. Anticipation is a form of active waiting. In the German culture, it's known as Vorfreude. Now that means, it's a concept that means the joy we experience while looking forward to something can be almost as enjoyable as the event itself. Now to experience that, that's going to involve actively preparing for what we believe is about to come. Living an anticipation-filled life means that you and I approach the world with our eyes wide open. We are looking with anticipation at what we expect to come. We are deliberately choosing to expect that good things are going to happen. You know, I've heard this often described as having an anchor of hope that keeps us grounded, even in the midst of the storms of life. And I think we all need more of that. Now, I've talked about it many, many times on the podcast. What you focus on expands, and your mind quietly seeks that out and amplifies it in your thinking. You don't think about it. If you buy a new car, now all of a sudden as you're driving around town, you see that same make and model everywhere. They were always there, but why are you seeing it now? Because you chose to focus on it. But when you choose to focus on living a no expectations and no regret life, you're going to miss out on all the opportunities that life presents to you every single day. Why is that? Because your thoughts aren't tuned in to seek them out and to see more opportunity when it shows up. Sadly, if you're living a no expectations, no regret life, you won't even recognize those opportunities are there. So why not live an expectant life where, like a pregnant mother, you're anticipating what's coming? You're preparing in advance and you're choosing to look forward to what's next. So to me, that's a combination of watching and working as you're taking time to learn and grow and prepare for the next chapter of your amazing life as you get ready to turn the page. So living a no expectations, no regret life, to me, that's going to feel monotonous. It's going to feel boring. It's going to feel futile. Because if you have no expectations, to me, you have no hope. Now, contrast that to living a life with anticipation. Each day's an adventure. It's filled with purposeful preparation. It's filled with practical application, and it's filled with hope for what's just around the corner and what's just ahead. Are we going to experience hardships if we choose to live an expectant, anticipation filled life? Of course we are. I mean, a mother experiences birth pangs before she gives birth to a baby. She expects it, she prepares for it, she endures it, she goes through it, and experiences the joy of childbirth as she now gets to hold that newborn baby in her arms. I've met a lot of mothers over the years, and I've yet to meet a mother who says the joy of birth wasn't worth to struggle to bring that baby into the world. Now, in the very same way, the struggles that you and I are going to go through, just like birth pangs, they're going to be temporary. But if we use them the right way, they're going to move us toward fulfillment of a dream, the achievement of a goal, or an opportunity to experience a breakthrough in our lives. I think back to that nice older lady in the airport. And as I think back, I'm sure she packed a bag in preparation of getting on that flight to go to another city. To me, that's preparing for what's next. That's expectation. Now, I'm sure she drove herself or got someone to drive her to the airport prior to departure. Hey, to me, that's anticipating what's next. There's expectation there. So maybe, just maybe, there's hope for this woman after all. So I had to ask myself, is she simply going through the motions of living an uneventful, futile, boring life? Or maybe was there a twinge of excitement? Was there a sparkle of anticipation as she was getting ready to board that plane, to fly to another city, to go experience something, or to go see someone that was important to her? Surely, to me, surely she wasn't really living a life with no expectations and no regrets. And if she was, I feel sorry for that lady. Some people have experienced so much hurt. They've experienced so much disappointment and regret in their lives, they don't want to go through it again. And when that happens, a part of themselves gets disconnected from the world around them. And all of a sudden, they stop truly living life. They simply go through the motions. And as they cautiously go through the motions, they take no risk, believing they're not going to have to experience another disappointment in their life if they have no expectations and they take no risks. But I'm here to tell you this: life is worth living. So my challenge to you, live it to the fullest. Yes, there's going to be disappointments, and yes, there's going to be regrets. I promise people are going to disappoint us. And at times, you and we're going to disappoint ourselves. So again, to borrow a phrase from Inigo Montoya in the movie The Princess Bride, get used to disappointment, because disappointment is a part of life. But you got to remember, like success, like failure, the yin and the yang of disappointment and failure are only a moment in time. Don't forget, how you view life is how you do life. And how you see life is how you're going to experience. Remember, I say on this podcast often, as you think, you say, you do, and you become. So I want you to think about that, because living a no expectation, living a no regret life, that can feel monotonous. It can feel boring and it can feel futile, but it can feel safe. But remember, if you have no expectations, you have no hope. Now contrast that to living a life with anticipation, a life of expectancy. When you awaken each day anticipating good things to happen, each and every day becomes an adventure. It's filled with purposeful preparation. It's filled with practical application of the things we've learned and are learning, and we greet each day with hope and excitement for what's just ahead and what's just around the corner. So let me leave you with an affirmation statement, something that's going to help you maintain the right mindset as you set your thoughts on living an anticipation-filled, expectant life. Here it is. I will greet each day with anticipation in my heart. I will expect something good, positive, insightful, enlightening, transformative, miraculous, eventful, amazing, or extraordinary is going to happen to me or through me today. I will actively seek for it. I will actively search for it, and I will actively prepare for it. So I am ready to see it and seize it and experience it to the fullest. I will expect good things to happen, and I will celebrate it when they do. I will greet each day with expectant participation. I'm Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.